to my channel. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Sarah Etter, your 7-figure real estate investing coach. I'm so glad to have you back. Please remember to hit subscribe below if you want to keep seeing awesome free real estate investing content. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 major things that can really screw you up as a flipper. These are mistakes that you never want to make and will completely sink your project. Most people watch HGTV and they think that flipping is super fun, that anyone can do it, and that is just not true. It is actually so stressful and it can be really overwhelming if you don't know what you're doing. And again, these 5 mistakes are super easy to make, and you need to understand how to do this correctly if you want to be successful at flipping. So the first one is to overpay for your property. It's super easy to get excited in a competitive market. You see a great deal and you just say, I want that property. But if you haven't done your analysis, and that's the rest of these, you're 100% going to overpay for your property. Now, a lot of flippers use something called the 70% rule. So basically, this rule says that you should calculate 70% of the after repair value less the reno costs, and that should be the max purchase price of a property. I find that this model doesn't work super great in the GTA because it's kind of impossible to find deals like this, but it's just something good to keep in mind that this 70% is taking into account all of these inflationary factors that you're probably not thinking of, like overtime, carrying costs, extra, things that crop up in your budget, market shifts. This is the number that will make sure that you can totally fail, go over budget, over time, and still break even. So this number isn't wrong. It's just really hard to find deals like this. So you want to consider that, like, when you're looking at flip properties, that you're not overpaying. Know your market. Know your ARVs. ARV, again, stands for after repair value. Do your research. Talk to realtors. Look at comparables. And don't fudge the numbers. I find that so many flippers try to fudge the numbers because they want to make it work. And that's not going to be good for anyone. If you use a calculation like this, it'll make sure that you're not inflating your numbers and that you're being really extra conservative when you're considering what price to pay for a flip property. The second is overcalculating, and that is overcalculating the ARV. People get excited in different markets and they say, oh, for sure, when I renovate this house, it's going to be worth $450. This house will be worth $380. You need to do some serious market research. I mean, check comparables, talk to all these different realtors, talk to other flippers in the area, and see not just what houses are selling for, but what trends are occurring in the market. Are things softening and slowing down? Are they on a high? Remember that flipping is tricky because you're speculating a bit on like what is going to happen in the market, which is why it's so important not to overpay. There's an important point that a lot of people say, and it's the selling price, like your profit is in the buy, not in the renovations you actually do. You can't predict what the market's going to do. You can't predict what price the house is going to sell for. You can guesstimate and educate yourself, but what you can control is the purchase price. So the better the deal you get on the purchase price, the better your deal is going to do no matter what the market does. And that's a really important factor to consider, that you need to just be patient and wait for something that is the right price for that given market. And when you're calculating your after repair value, don't go crazy. Don't overcalculate. Think conservatively. Don't think about the dollar signs and the money in your head. Think about what will happen if the market crashes, the market tanks or softens. You end up holding onto that property an extra 6 months, or you can't sell it at all and you lose money. That's what you should be thinking when you calculate the ARV, not the dollar signs. Another huge mistake people make is going under budget when they're calculating their renovation costs. Most people don't think about these things that can crop up, like mold, knob into wiring, all of these different factors can really blow your budget out of the water. It's why you should bring a contractor with you to your first walkthrough, even if you don't put conditions in your offer. Sometimes if I see a market or an awesome deal come on the market, I know that I'm gonna have to go in without any inspection conditions. So I will bring my contractor with me to walk through the house so we can be sure that I have a pretty good idea of what's gonna need to get fixed in that house. But that still doesn't mean that we're not gonna find crazy stuff when we open up the walls, or that something's not gonna break, or issues just crop up during a project. You need to overinflate this budget and you really build yourself in a massive buffer. I always suggest at least a 10% buffer of your rental budget, an extra 10%. And that's just for renovation costs, not all of the other holding and carrying costs that go into these projects. Another huge mistake people make is the timeline. You are going to go over time. I don't think I've ever done a flip project that's actually been completed in the time I wanted. Because like I said, things always crop up, mistakes happen, materials get held up, the kitchen takes too long to build, this happens, you just never, ever know. And keep in mind that every month that goes by, you're paying for the hydro, the taxes, the water, the mortgage. The longer that goes over budget, the more you are paying out of pocket, which is why it's so important to factor in this type of budget, because if it goes overtime, that's more money you're adding to your reno budget on a monthly basis, and you really need to factor that in. The fifth biggest mistake is people forget about the little things. They forget about, if you used a HELOC to, put some money into this for like the renovation, what about the HELOC interest? Are you factoring that into your holding and carrying costs? What about private financing and the interest rates? What about something that I discovered this year, which is commercial insurance? If that house is vacant and there's, the risk of it burning down, someone damaging it, things going on, you're not going to be able to get normal insurance for a vacant property that you're doing a flip on. You need commercial insurance, and it is like 3 to 5 times more expensive than typical tenant insurance. So that adds to your budget. Think about title insurance that you might have to get. What about private financing, all of these other things, your land transfer taxes, capital gains on the other side of like the profit. You walk away with 30K, but you didn't incorporate or it's not held in an LLC. What are you going to do? Have you calculated and factored in the capital gains tax that you're going to have to pay on that profit? These are the little things that people really forget to factor into their overall budget, because it's not just, oh yeah, it's going to cost us $30,000 to renovate this house. You forget about the mortgage, you forget about the insurance, the closing costs, the capital gains tax, all of these little things that eat into your profits. So when you're calculating what you want to pay for this property, what these rental costs actually are, what you're holding, what your carrying costs are, make sure that this thing is actually going to make you a profit. Otherwise, you need to decide whether it's even worth your time. And if your margins are too tight, then don't bother. Wait for the next property. I promise you, there will always be another project, another property. So I hope you guys learned a little bit from this. These are the top 5 mistakes you never ever want to make when you're doing a flip project. And make sure, if you don't know some of these things, that you talk to a pro, that you get mentored, that you do a bit of research and get educated before you take on your first flip, so you don't lose money. I've heard of so many real estate investors that start off doing a flip, they lose so much money, and then they just quit real estate investing. And that's a shame, because it doesn't have to be like that. You can still flip in markets like this. You can be successful. You just need to avoid these mistakes and make sure you are very conservative with your budget and your numbers. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope this was instructive and helpful for you. As always, if you want to ask any questions, I'm always here. And please hit that subscribe button below if you want to keep seeing awesome free content on real estate investing. Till next time, thanks. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into my channel. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you're looking for even more amazing content on real estate investing, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be releasing amazing videos every single week, so you won't want to miss it. If you want to learn more about working with me and what I do, make sure to check out my website as well. Bye guys.